Karen stood in my driveway with a locksmith, a moving truck idling behind her, and a folder labeled Emergency Placement Authorization in her hand. She told me I had 30 minutes to cooperate. What she didn't know. The badge in my pocket outranked her clipboard. Karen stood in my driveway with a locksmith, a moving truck idling behind her, and a folder labeled Emergency Placement Authorization tucked against her chest like it was a badge. She told me I had 30 minutes to cooperate. What she didn't know. The badge in my pocket outranked her clipboard. I moved to Cedar Brook Estates for one reason: quiet. After 12 years on the force, most of it in a busy district where sirens were background noise, I transferred to a slower precinct outside the city. I wanted trees. Predictable neighbors. A place where the loudest disturbance might be a barking dog. Cedar Brook was one of those manicured HOA neighborhoods where lawns looked combed and trash cans vanished exactly on schedule. The kind of place where rules were framed as community standards. I didn't tell anyone I was a cop. Out here, that kind of information travels fast. It turns you into the neighborhood complaint desk. I wasn't interested in that. I wanted to grill on weekends and be invisible. That's when I met Karen Wilcox. HOA president. Early 50s. Permanent smile. The kind that never quite reached her eyes. She introduced herself 2 days after I moved in. Welcomed me. Handed me a binder thick enough to stun a raccoon. Cedar Brook runs on cooperation, she said warmly. That word stuck with me. Cooperation. Not community. Not neighborly. Cooperation. The first red flag came 3 weeks later. An email from the HOA titled Neighborhood Solidarity Housing Initiative. It was written in that polished, corporate tone people use when they're about to tell you something isn't optional. The program, it said, would temporarily house displaced family members of community affiliates. Participation was expected to maintain neighborhood cohesion. Noncompliance would be reviewed by the board. I read that line twice. Expected. Reviewed. I downloaded the email as a PDF. Screenshot the headers. Saved everything. Experience teaches you something. People who misuse authority leave paper trails. At the next HOA meeting, Karen stood at the front clubhouse podium with a slideshow behind her. We are a community, she said. And community means stepping up. Her eyes scanned the room. Then landed on me. As some of you have extra space. There it was. Social pressure. Public spotlight. Manufactured obligation. After the meeting, she approached me directly. We're assigning homes next week. I put you down as available. I didn't volunteer, I said evenly. Her smile tightened just a fraction. Oh, it's not volunteering. It's participation. No, I said. It's not. That was the moment her posture changed. People like Karen don't hear no often. The next afternoon she showed up at my door holding a tin of cookies. Doorbell camera captured everything. Just 2 weeks, she said sweetly. My sister's family. Quiet people. You won't even notice them. I'm not hosting anyone. She blinked. It's board approved. I didn't approve it. She shifted tactics. We all make sacrifices. I'm not sacrificing my house. There was a beat of silence. Her smile thinned. You don't want to be the only uncooperative homeowner. There it was again. Cooperative. I don't consent, I said calmly. The word hit her harder than I expected. Consent removes ambiguity. It removes wiggle room. She left without another word. That night, I received a document titled Host Acknowledgement Confirmation. My name was typed in. A box next to Owner Agrees was checked. I had never seen the document before. I opened the file properties. Template generated. HOA portal origin. Created that same afternoon. I screenshotted everything. Then I replied once. I do not consent. Provide governing rule authorizing forced occupancy. No emotion. Just documentation. 2 days later, a compliance notice arrived. It claimed I had verbally agreed at the meeting. It demanded I provide a key force safety access. That's when I knew this wasn't about housing. It was about control. I sent a certified letter. No consent. No entry. No keys. Do not send vendors. Save the receipts. 2 mornings later, I heard the rumble of a diesel engine. I stepped outside. Locksmith van. Maintenance truck. And Karen. She stood on the sidewalk, careful not to step onto my property. Clipboard hugged tight. The locksmith held a printed work order. Rekey and install exterior lockbox. HOA directive. Who hired you? I asked. Homeowners Association. Do you have owner authorization? He hesitated. We were told it's included. Karen cut in. You're obstructing compliance. I looked directly at the locksmith. You do not have my permission to touch my locks. He looked uncomfortable. Karen snapped, just do it. I pulled out my phone. I am requesting you leave my property. I'm also requesting your authorization chain by email. Then I called non-emergency dispatch. When the patrol unit arrived, Karen switched tones instantly. He's refusing lawful HOA action, she told the officer. The officer looked at me. Do you consent to them changing your locks? No. He nodded once. That's all I need. He documented it. Read the incident number aloud. CR 27-0419. The locksmith packed up. Karen didn't yell. She just stared at me with something colder than anger. This wasn't over. 3 days later, the city emailed me. Code enforcement inspection notice. Complaint, illegal rental activity. Anonymous. I almost laughed. When intimidation fails, escalation begins. I confirmed the appointment in writing. Requested the case number. Filed a public records request for the complaint intake metadata. Then I filed a formal records demand to the HOA for portal audit logs related to my address. If someone uploads something in a digital system, it leaves fingerprints. Karen scheduled an emergency HOA hearing the same week. Threatened daily fines. Legal action. Towing. I attended. She claimed I had verbally agreed to host. Produce the signed document, I said calmly. She waved a folder. We have authorization. Original signature? I asked. She didn't answer. I requested the hearing minutes before I left the building. Paper trails. Always paper trails. The breakthrough came from an unexpected direction. The original locksmith emailed me. Subject line, authorization clarification. Attached was the work order chain Karen had forwarded to them. It included a PDF titled Owner Consent Form. My name. My address. A signature that looked almost like mine. Almost. Except I hadn't signed anything. I downloaded the file. Opened Properties. Created 9:12 a.m. Uploaded via HOA portal. Author field, Karen Wilcox. I checked the audit log the management company had finally released under my records request. 9:12 a.m. File upload, owner consent, user, Karen Wilcox. 9:18 a.m. Work order created, rekey/lockbox. Same morning the locksmith showed up. I sat back in my chair. There it was. Not a misunderstanding. Not confusion. Fabrication. I preserved the file. Saved headers. Forwarded everything to my attorney. Sent a preservation notice to the HOA and management company instructing them not to delete logs or communications. Because once people realize they've crossed a legal line, things disappear. Inspection day arrived like a staged performance. Karen pulled up first. Then the property manager. Then, unbelievably, another locksmith. And a moving truck idling at the curb. She had planned to win. The city inspector parked behind them. I had also requested the patrol officer return to attach documentation to the previous incident. We stood in my driveway like actors waiting for a cue. Karen stepped forward, all polished authority. We're dealing with an uncooperative homeowner obstructing community compliance. The inspector looked at me. I'm here for a code complaint. Inspect anything you'd like, I said. But before that, I'd like to show you something. Karen handed over her consent letter confidently. Owner authorization, she said. The inspector scanned it. Then I opened my laptop on the hood of my truck. Pulled up the HOA audit log. Enlarged the entry. Upload, owner consent, 9:12 a.m., user, Karen Wilcox. Silence. The property manager leaned in. Karen, why does it show your login? Her face changed. That's a system error. The inspector's tone hardened. Did the homeowner provide this document? No, I said. The patrol officer stepped closer. Ma'am, step back from the residence. The second locksmith took 3 steps backward immediately. I'm not touching anything. The maintenance workers admitted she directed them based on that document. The inspector completed his walkthrough. No violations found, he said clearly, writing it down. The officer added an addendum to CR 27-0419 referencing the fabricated authorization. Karen tried one last attempt. The HOA will pursue this. The officer looked at her evenly. Not with falsified documents, they won't. For the first time since I'd met her, she had no smile. That afternoon, my attorney filed for a temporary restraining order. It was granted. Karen and the HOA were barred from contacting me, sending vendors, or representing my home as available for placement. Service was completed the next day. Once the restraining order hit, the HOA's insurance carrier got involved fast. Discovery requests followed. More logs surfaced. Internal emails. Language about forcing compliance. Timeline confirmations. The board shifted tone quickly when exposure became liability. A written retraction was issued. The housing initiative dissolved. Corrected meeting minutes published. Settlement covered my legal fees and inspection costs. And the board voted to remove Karen from her position. 5-year ban from HOA service. A week later, I stood in my backyard grilling steaks as the sun dipped behind the trees. The neighborhood was quiet again. Different kind of quiet. Earned quiet. Karen drove past once. Slow. Eyes forward. No wave. No apology. Didn't matter. The record spoke louder than she ever could. I never told the neighborhood I was a cop. I didn't need to. Authority isn't volume. It's composure. When someone tries to weaponize paperwork, you respond with better paperwork. When they escalate emotionally, you de-escalate strategically. And when they assume you won't push back, you let the timeline do it for you. In battles with people who mistake position for power, the calmest person with the cleanest evidence usually wins. And that day, the clipboard lost to the badge she never knew was there.